Hello and welcome to another episode of The Golf Underground. I hope everyone is staying safe, staying healthy, and most of all, being smart out there right now. We are definitely going through some tough times. Unfortunately, here in New York State, our golf courses did just get forced to shut down as of yesterday. So now more than ever, we really need to make sure that we're being smart about what we're doing and getting these courses opened up as soon as we can, as soon as that weather turns. So, it's all up to us and just do what we can. And thank you to everyone out there who's helping put in the time, taking care of those who need it, and helping everyone get better. So, with that being said, let's move on to today's video. As you can see, I am in the traditional Sunday garb of probably one of the greatest golfers of all time. Even though today's only Saturday, I thought it would be appropriate to honor last year's Masters champion. So let's get started. Today's video, we are going to use and go over the 5 training aids that I covered in last week's video. If you haven't checked that video out yet, do so now. I'm going to put a link in the description below, so take a look. You can go over, see the heck are they called? The training aids. There we go. See the training aids that I feel are the top 5 and how they're used, what they're used for. So today, I'm going to go through how I use them and how I go through a progression of getting to each individual training aid. I do have a specific kind of template that I follow as to using which aid and when, and I will explain why I use them, when I use them, and hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of help on your putting game and what you can do to hold more putts. Let's take a look. So the first training aid that I always reach to is my Eyeline Small Putting Mirror. This is a training aid that I not only use during my practice, but something that I use before each round of golf that I play. People who have played in tournaments or events with me have probably seen me on the putting green using this training aid. And what it's doing is it's helping me get prepared for that round that I'm about to play. It allows me to set up, get my eye position, let me feel that position before the round starts, lets me get my putting stroke down. I do use 2 tees. As you can see, because I'm inside off a turf, I don't have the ability to use tees, so I have used some screws. I would recommend to be very, very careful if you do choose to use screws as well, because they are the sharp side pointing up. But what they're going to do is they're going to create that putting gate for me to use that allows me to see my stroke, make sure that the putter's moving along the right path, keep my face nice and square. I always try and line the ball up along my blue alignment line. That way I can see how the ball is rolling end over end, and make sure that when I'm hitting my putts that I'm making the proper strokes, getting the ball on the correct line, and ready for the day. Let's hit some putts. Making strokes, I'm looking to see that ball roll end over end, make sure that my putter isn't hitting either of the screws on the outside or the inside, and I'm also making sure that I can see my eyes right where I want to see them in relation to the ball at setup and address. Once I see that the ball's been rolling end over end for a while, then I just get used to making good strokes. That one you actually could hear a little bit of a ting. That one I hit the putter with the heel on the inside screw. So this one I'm going to try and make the correct adjustment. And there you go, straight back and straight through. If during any of these putts I start to see something that's maybe a little less desirable, maybe that helps a little bit better. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to address that after the round during another practice session. I don't want to try and fix something before a round, which leads to a lot of indecisiveness and stuff that I don't feel comfortable doing while out on the course. So what I'll do after the round is I'll come back to the mirror, and if that's still not showing me what I look for, if it's say something my path is off or my start line is off, I'm going to reach to my next training aid, and that's going to be the T line. Let's take a look at how I use that putting aid. All right, so let's say I'm out there putting and I notice that my ball isn't really rolling end over end, or I'm having a really tough time getting a ball started on my intended start line. So what I'll do then is I will pull out the T-Line putting aid from Vizio. And what this allows me to do is this really allows me to get an idea of my face position at impact. Because what this training aid is meant to do is it's meant to allow us to see how that putter face is at impact. Now that one was done really, really well. I would have no issues with that on that putt. But let's just say, for instance, I hit this next putt and it goes off the rail a little bit further down and to the right. I'm going to show you kind of what that looks like. Again, get my ball lined up right down my target line right there. Not perfect, but let's just say hit make stroke. And now the ball's off the end of the rail at the right. That's telling me that, well, my face is maybe a little bit open. Not maybe, it definitely is. And we need to get that club face maybe just a little bit more square. Now let's kind of combine the two with the next training aid that I use, and that's the mirror putting gate that Vizio puts out that has the gate at the end that allows me to make sure I can start the ball on my intended target line while also making sure that my eyes are in the correct position over the ball. So let's take a look at that one. So the next putting aid that's lined up in my repertoire is the mirrored putting gate by Vizio. And what this allows me to do is this allows me to check my eye plane over the ball, lets me see how the ball is rolling on its start line, and gives me the feedback, because if I hit one of the metal pegs, then I know that the ball didn't get started on the right line, and I can tell whether or not my face was open, my face was closed, or if it could possibly be a path issue with how my putter is moving back and through the stroke. So let's hit a couple putts and let's take a look and see what I'm looking for when I use this putting aid. So just like all the other putting aids, I make sure to line my ball up with my alignment aid right at the hole. You are noticing that most putts that I am hitting are only about 3 feet long. I don't really need to get outside that because everything that I am looking for is within the first couple feet of the putt. So from this point of view, what I'm looking for is, again, I'm looking to see how my eyes are positioned over the ball, making sure that I get the putter lined up properly with my alignment line. And when I make stroke, if I see that ball go through the putting gate without hitting either of the two nubs, I know it's relatively square and on line. The next thing I'm looking for is whether or not I'm getting a nice consistent roll through my line. If I'm not getting a nice consistent roll with my target line, then that's going to tell me that, for me, I'm probably looking at a little bit more of either a path issue or maybe a little bit too much hand action going through. I do have a video lined up that's going to kind of put that to the test. It's going to be a pretty interesting one, so stay tuned for that. I'll go over that a little bit towards the end. But you can see from this putting aid right here, hit one good putt, didn't really see a great roll, hit another putt, hit the outside peg. So that's telling me that I need to probably check my putter path. And what I'm going to use on that one is the Pro Slider training aid from MyLine. So let me get that one out and let me show you what I'm looking for. All right, so the last and final training aid that I usually go to if I feel something is off in my stroke, especially with the path that the putter head and the shaft are moving on, is the Pro Slider training aid from iLine Putting. And what this allows me to do is this allows me to check whether I'm taking the putter a little bit too far outside on the takeaway or a little bit too far inside. If I take the putter back incorrectly on the backswing, that's going to force me to have to do some sort of manipulation on the follow through, be it either a face control or try and manipulate the path to match a face. And anytime we have to add extra variables into the equation, it just makes it that much harder for us to hole more putts. So with the training aid here, they do have what they call a pro slot. And if you saw last week when I was using this, we wanted to keep the putter on the rails both back and through. But what the pro slot does is it is meant to keep the putter in between the rails, because what this will do is this will actually give you really good feedback on whether or not the putter is going outside. If you take the putter outside, you're going to hit the lower rail. If you take it inside, you're going to hit the higher rail. So let me hit a couple putts. Let me show you what it looks like. So again, with this putting aid, I try and set up right how I normally would. Get the line right at the hole, set the putter up right behind it, and the whole objective is to make a stroke without hitting either of the rails. So you can hear on that one, I hit a little bit on the top side. I will say one thing that is a little bit tricky with this one is making sure that you get the ball set up in the proper position every single time. So I hit this top rail on that last putt, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the putter goes a little bit more straighter back, and there you go. I missed both rails. That ball went right down the target line, right in the center of the hole. Those are the 4 training aids that I mainly use when I'm out there developing my stroke. I do have a couple others that I can use more when I'm outside, but for indoor purposes, when I'm in my basement here, these are the big 4 that I go to. There is one more that you saw me struggle with last week, and that is the putt out, getting it in that little target hole. That's a little bugger. So I'm going to give it a few more tries, and let's see if I can actually get it to rest right in the target hole this time. Wish me luck. So here I'm back at it, going to try to give this putt out challenge one more go. This is such a great training aid to use indoors, especially this time of year where you're not able to really get out on the green and you're stuck inside. It does help to have a nice smooth putting surface to roll the ball on. Most rugs will do, but if you have that, 70s shag type of rug in your house, yeah, it might be a little bit tricky. That's rolling about a -1 on the stent meter. It's not going to work out very well. Also, I wouldn't recommend using on either hardwood, linoleum, or tile. Unless you want to putt on a stemp that's about 40, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, but you can get some putting mats out there. Putt Out does make a very good indoor putting mat. Well Putt has a very good indoor putting mat. Eyeline, I believe they have one as well. You want to make sure that it's something that can give you a nice true roll, let you see the ball rolling and hitting your target. So I'm going to give this one a few more tries, and let's see if we can get that ball to, finally rest in the target hole. Here we go. Come on, baby. Holy crap. Not gonna lie, that literally was the first time, the first take, right away. Kind of funny how that works. But you could see how close that was. And what that does too is that really gets you focusing on such a small target. The more you use that target hole as your kind of practice, you're going to find that your speed and your ability to hit your intended target line is going to increase dramatically. There's that old saying that aim small, miss small. Well, if you can get the ball to rest in the target like that, that's a pretty small target and you're hitting your target dead on. So, well, good for me. I'm going to pat myself on the back on that one. Great job. So, thank you for joining me today. Again, I really hope you're all staying safe. You're all staying healthy out there right now. We are going through some tough times. Again, Dorn, the old Sunday Red here as our goat here, Tiger Woods. I wish him the best. We are going to be seeing, hopefully, a Masters in November. It is going to be a different vibe, but again, it's the Masters, and who complains about the Masters? Best thing about that is we will only have about a 5-month, break between, the 2020 Masters into the 2021 Masters. So that's something to look forward to. Well, again, thank you again for joining me. Next week, I got a pretty interesting video lined up. It's going to be going through a couple tests. Good time to end it off, too. The natives are starting to get restless again, too. But next week, fun little test with putters, grips, things along those lines. May not pan out like I want it to, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring you along the journey and let you see what I'm looking at, what I'm looking for, and whether or not it impacts your stroke or not. So until next Saturday, take care. See you then.